Hey, this is Steve Dollar, our artistic director of the Tallahassee Film Festival, and I'm here this morning with Julian Glander, whose film Boys Go to Jupiter will open the Tallahassee Film Festival on August 31st at the Challenger Learning Center in downtown Tallahassee on the giant IMAX screen, where it will look pretty freaking amazing. Uh, Julian, hey, welcome. Just having a little chat here to introduce you to our city and to potential festival attendees. Thought we'd start out by asking you just to tell us a little bit about yourself and your background, and also about the film.
Sure. First of all, thanks for having me. I'm so excited. My name is Julian Glander. I'm a 3D artist and animator. I've worked for many years in illustration and animation and video games, specifically animation for kind of late night TV. This is my first feature. We self-produced it and made it in Blender at my house here in Pittsburgh. What I'm most excited about with regards to Tallahassee is this is the Florida premiere, and of course, the movie takes place in a sort of amalgamation of Central Florida. I grew up outside of Tampa, and and of course the title comes from the town of Jupiter, Florida, which I think Florida residents might pick up on a little bit more than the average viewer.
Right, right. What was how long were you living in Florida? You grew up there and in
I was living there around the time the movie takes place. I moved there
mhm.
when I was 13 and then moved away when I was 17.
And what sort of situations kind of inspired the story? And tell us a little bit about the story.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's sort of an animated coming of age story. It's about a 16-year-old boy over the course of a winter break in Florida. He's trying to hustle and work as a delivery driver to uh, put together some money for himself, and it kind of spirals into a little bit more of a surreal and wacky story when he becomes the sort of adoptive father of a baby alien. So some of that happened to me, some of it didn't. I was thinking a lot about odd jobs I worked. I was a lifeguard. I mowed people's lawns. I had a job where I had to put flyers in people's mailboxes, just walk around this like Edward Scissorhandsy suburbs and just like put flyer after flyer into identical mailbox after identical mailbox. So I was reaching back into a little bit of that. Okay, here's one thing that's very Tampa specific that some of you guys might know. There's this uh, building called 2001 Odyssey on the side of the road outside Tampa. It's a strip club, and it has like a big fiberglass UFO on top. Um, and I guess like I would pass by that a lot as a kid. I never went, but I always thought it was like the most beautiful thing, this like shiny spaceship. And in my research for the movie, I uh I was on Google Street View a lot in Florida, and that's one of the places I ended up. And I sort of was thinking, well, what if aliens did come to Tampa? What if aliens came to Earth and what they saw was like gas stations and Uber Eats drivers and abandoned swimming pools and stuff, the stuff that is actually here on Earth. I thought that was kind of an interesting kernel to start telling a story.
Cool. Yeah. Yeah, I love that it seems both grounded in the sort of mundane, even the sort of weird digital reality we all seem to live in. And then you add the science fiction element, which just sort of takes it all into a completely uh, unpredictable direction. Um, Tell me a little bit about the animation style because it's very distinct, and how that evolved for you, and what sort of things shaped your vision.
Sure. So it's a 3D. People have called it a sort of minimalist, video game influenced 3D aesthetic. There's sort of a toy-like quality to it. The colors are very bright and intense. I think that's really cool. It's going to be on IMAX.
Yeah, yeah, that was the
I think,
idea.
there are just huge areas of color that you really don't see in feature films. It's rare to see a feature film where just there's just like a big blast of a purple screen on you. Um, yeah, I've been developing this style for more than 10 years. I use Blender, which I think I already mentioned, but I'd like to mention it as much as possible. It's
Tell
a
me about
really
Blender. Like, what is that exactly?
sure. It's an open source 3D modeling software. And one, it's very fun to play with. It's for me when I'm working, I feel like I'm playing a video game. And it's also the community behind it is really great because it's open source. There were so many times making this movie where I either look something up on YouTube to learn how to do it, or there was even times when I would post a question in a forum and somebody would write a new piece of code for me to help me do rain particle effects or something else. Yeah,
Hmm.
Blender rules.
Awesome. Um, so I guess as somebody who is like kind of a aspiring animator, I mean, who did you look to as kind of the gods of your style, or like your I won't say influences, but say inspirations, or like boy, if I could, like this really gets me stimulated.
Well, you've teed it up very conveniently for me. That we were just talking about Don Hertzfeldt.
Yeah.
I think I saw his rejected shorts when they were nominated for the Oscar when I was probably 11 years old. And I remember downloading them, or I don't know how you could even watch animated stuff back then. I think I downloaded it on dial-up, and it took like
Hmm.
4 days to download the shorts. Um, and it's cool. He's playing his new short at Tallahassee. More than style, I think just the way he does things is really inspiring. I
Yeah.
mean, it's American independent animation is a very brutal landscape. It's there's really not a lot of money in it. There's really not a lot of infrastructure for it. And so, yeah, the people I like are the people who find a way to make it happen, and just kind of muscle through it. And yeah, he's an icon. He's kind of the god of that stuff.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Um, I was also going to ask, you've got kind of an impressive array of voice actors. Uh, your particular skill is the animation, but trying to wrangle, you know, actors for this kind of work seems to be a whole other skill set.
Yes,
And I
wrangling
want,
is a good word for
yeah.
it. Yeah.
And I don't know. I mean, did you have to work with a specific casting agent, or were these people known to you through other work you've done?
Yeah, we didn't have a casting agent. The core team of the movie is me and my best friend Payson, who is the producer.
Hmm.
And yeah, we just sort of muscled through the casting process together. Um, it's I definitely think we created a lot of work for ourselves by casting 16 voice acting roles with 16 comedy superstars. And I don't even know if I can shout them all out off the top of my head, but we have a really great cast. Jack Corbett from NPR's Planet Money is our principal. And then we also have Joe Pera, Julio Torres, Elsie Fisher, Tavi Gevinson, Chris Fleming, Sarah Sherman, Demi Adejiyibe, Janine Garofalo, and hey, type it into Google and look because I only got half of them in there. But
Right.
yeah, it was for the most part we just reached out directly. I had worked on a kid's book with Julio, so we were
Hmm.
already friends. So I just texted him and said, "Will you come in for an hour and do this?" And yeah, it was once it got going, it actually wasn't that hard to get everyone on board. I think people saw the script and they thought it would be something fun to do for an hour or 2 hours. And yeah, I have to give so much credit to the cast because, like you said, my skill is animation. And when you have really good performances, you don't even have to do good animation. You don't even have to be a good writer because when you have Chris Fleming coming in and
Yeah.
completely disregarding your script and improvising something way better, it's like, okay, that's cool. He should write the whole movie.
Um, Also, yeah, I mean, I'll wrap it up here because I would mention that we were also going to be showing the 40th anniversary reissue of Paris, Texas. And you'd mentioned that actually as an influence on the film, which caught me by surprise.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I can even rationalize it. I just think it's a great movie.
Yeah.
I saw it for the first time while I was writing this movie. And one thing that I was consciously doing was every night during the writing and development process, I'd watch a movie while I was eating dinner, and I'd try to very explicitly and deliberately like steal one thing from that
Hmm.
movie. So we stole stuff from a lot of different kinds of movies. There's a lot stolen from The Wizard of Oz, Edward Scissorhands, Napoleon Dynamite, Ghost World, and some every day it was something, a little shot, a little editing choice. And I think what we ended up taking from Paris, Texas were some of those kind of wide open skies that they have in that movie, some of those big landscapes, and specifically the scene that I really like is when I think it's when Dean Stockwell is working up on the billboard.
Hmm.
So we have some billboard shots in the movie that are kind of cribbed from that.
Very cool. Oh, Ghost World. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense too, especially when you were talking about Tampa. And I remember driving around Tampa, and it's just block after block after block of just telephone poles and strip malls and nothing, which is exactly when you look at some parts of Ghost World, it's like that same. You just remember the telephone lines and
Yeah, I
things like
think
that.
it's like that was sort of a subgenre that I really like is this sort of suburban surrealism.
Hmm.
Because right, it's like you said, being a teenager in sort of middle of nowhere America, it is in some ways so magical and so special, and then also so boring at the same time. And
Right.
sometimes it's like what happens is you get so bored that you start inventing little games and creating a different little world with your friends that you kind of live in. And that's kind of what happened. That's kind of the story of the movie, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. So what's next for the film? Are you still looking for distribution or and just playing festivals right now?
Yeah, we're kind of gearing up for our fall festival run. Tallahassee is up next, and then we're doing Ottawa Animation Festival up in Canada. It's also, I think, coming to Nashville. It's going to Japan. It's going to the Netherlands. I'm not sure what I'm allowed to say off the top of my head, but
Oh
yeah,
well, yeah.
I don't want to get you in trouble. And I really don't want to get myself in trouble.
Yeah,
But yeah,
fine. We can
for now we're doing festivals,
that
which
sounds
is
great.
yeah, which I love.
Well, hang on. I'm gonna end the recording, and but we can keep talking.
Sure.
Hey, thanks so much for taking some time to talk with us, and
Thank
we're
you.
super excited to have the film. I think people are going to be in for a massive treat on the 31st.
Thank you, Steve.
So anyway, thanks, and hang on.